Everybody, it's TJ McKinley Podcast, episode 29. We say what we how we want, whatever we want. I got a special guest on today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
How you doing? This is Says Me. My name's Rich Santoro, but like I said, you can my handle on Twitter is says_me1. I'm also Says Me at Says Me over at YouTube. Got some videos up there for the greatest running back of all time. In general, I'm a big sports guy, football, basketball. I appreciate you having me on to talk shop. So let's roll.
What's up? What's up, man? Well, as you probably don't know, I like to give my guests 5 to 10 minute ether segment at the beginning. So anything in sports you want to go off about, anything you not liking, anybody you don't like, anything in general you want to talk about.
Oh boy. Well, I'll kind of touch on what we talked about a bit ago. The Super Bowl's in the rearview mirror. We're heading into the off season, but thinking about that game, it was kind of an historic game. I wrote a piece about how the Kansas City Chiefs have kind of already set history. They're the first team with three consecutive appearances where they actually had a chance to three-peat. There's a couple other teams that had three consecutive Super Bowl appearances, but they either lost the first of those three or the second of those three. So this was really a historic moment that they were going into that game with even a chance. Also with five Super Bowl appearances in 6 years, that hasn't been done either. We know that the Pittsburgh Steelers won 4 in 6 years, which is the highest standard. 3 and 5 years by the Cowboys. Scratch that, make it 3 and 4 years by the Cowboys back in the '90s. But so this was exciting to see if they can pull it off. I'm not necessarily a Kansas City fan, but I'm not against them either. I was pulling for the Eagles, and they just had the formula. They had a defensive scheme that just for some reason Andy Reid didn't make the adjustments he needed. Once they saw the offense wasn't getting anywhere in that first half, but they didn't change. They didn't change up their game plan. They didn't change up their scheme, and it cost them.
Yeah, man, that's what football. I think the problem was, like I said in the previous podcast with the guys I had on. I feel
Yeah,
like everybody was more interested in the refs cheating. It's basically like somebody said, it's the third team on the field. Everybody been worried
yeah,
about if the refs go cheat, what calls they're gonna play, or if the Chiefs go 3P and Taylor said the Swifties, and it's basically like it's like wrestling. Like it was more like the drama and the promo more than the actual gameplay. Like who actually was gonna win. It was everything except the game. So I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
when the Eagles started blowing out the Chiefs, everybody was like, "Oh, it's boring now," because it's like they were just waiting on some drama, and I feel like that was the problem with the Super Bowl.
The storylines were already kind of thwarted. I liked it. I'm sorry. I mean, I know I saw a lot of people posting about that, saying it was boring because it was such a blowout. But I liked watching what the Eagles were doing, and I liked watching how it was working, and I was into it. I was into the game. So I mean, it hasn't been since Super Bowl 53 back in 2018 that a team hadn't scored in the first half. So this was, a big deal. And so, I mean, this had me kind of into it. Yeah, I could care less about the Taylor Swift dynamic, and yeah, I know the narrative about reps, and I've seen my share of what I thought were suspect calls and plays, but you know, without doing some kind of, I don't know, study or analysis to see how often those calls are breaking, I just didn't want to get into that. I didn't want to get into that state of mind about the refs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not denying it or anything, but just I wanted to watch the game, and I thought it was pretty good.
That was it. I felt like it wasn't the best game, but it's like them blow like everybody when the Seahawks were blowing out Peyton Manning and them. That's the recent example.
Right.
Oh, that was game of the decade. I'm like, but Denver got blown out. I think everybody just wanted to see Seattle win so bad because Seattle wasn't even supposed to be there. Like, didn't nobody
Yeah,
expect
yeah.
Russell Wilson to be there. So everybody was just so hyped to see Seattle, and they just had They
Right.
was authentic to me. It's not. It feel like now players are being forced onto us. That's why everybody calling it wrestling now. It feel
Right.
like you got people back then, like Richard Sherman. You already know Marshawn and them, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Chandler Jones, and I can Eric. Was it Thomas? Basically, the Legion. What they call Legion of Boom.
Legion
Yeah,
of Boom. Yeah. Yeah.
they was authentic. Now it's just like the Eagles got Saquon, but and Jalen, they got the team, they got the players. It's just people just can't connect to them no more. Like it's a
Yeah.
whole.
And they don't have a hook. I guess. I mean, they're kind of that hard hat. Workhorse team. They're great in the trenches. Barkley, obviously, them being a predominantly running game this season. You got Barkley at 2,000 yards. You got Jalen, who had obviously a lot of yards with his legs as well. So this wasn't, dazzling Tom Brady, Peyton Manning kind of dart, big pass, game-winning drive. It wasn't anything like that. But I'm okay with that. I like old school football, so I'm good with a throwback to a grind. And I think what you're saying also about the Seahawks, that was exciting for a lot of people because the narrative was about them, right? And this
Mhm.
time it didn't follow the narrative because the narrative was about, like you said, the Taylor Swift or the referees or whatever. So since the narrative didn't manifest, it was like, the story's not interesting now.
Exactly. But yeah, man, we ain't gonna talk stuff about it. It's been there, done that.
Right. Yeah.
I did like a whole I think we were 20 minutes or something. But let's go ahead and start with you though. So you a Chicago fan.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start. What's your thoughts on the Chicago Bears this season, and what you see them doing, what they need to do for the offseason?
Well, I mean, yes, I'm in Chicago. I lived here my whole life. Chicagoland, born and bred. So I've been watching the Bears since the '70s.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've got the relationship with the Bears that I do, you're used to seeing them come up short. You're used to seeing them not being a really great team. So I didn't have much expectation this particular year. Caleb Williams might have more to offer. I think the whole idea of the shiny new rookie quarterback is the savior. I think that's a busted idea, especially because a lot of the early draft picks are going to the worst teams. So it's inevitable that your rookie quarterback's going to have a tough time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the last 5 years, most of the first round rookie quarterbacks that started, they struggled. It's a fact. So I didn't expect much else than what we got. Um, what didn't help is that he was kind of talking a lot, telling the punter he's not going to have to do any work. He's saying he wants a career like Brady. I mean, that stuff just invited criticism. But so now that we've gotten through it, we've got a solid receiving core. I don't know, Keenan Allen's got a few years on him, but he's a real talented. I'm gonna say this wrong. Adunzi is a good pickup for the draft this past season,
Mm-hmm.
and and what's his name? Their other receiver. His name's escaping me at the moment.
But yeah, what about
DJ Moore. Yeah, DJ Moore. He's so this is arguably going into the season the best receiving core they've had in years, maybe even all time. Um, so I like where they're at with their receiving. I like, Cole Kmet is solid. Um, they got to work on that offensive line. That's got to be the top priority. There is nothing else that they need more than that. Defense is sound. Um, they are not able to protect Caleb. They don't have a running game. They got rid of their Montgomery a couple seasons ago. Swift was fine. He's a multi-purpose back, but with the offensive line they have, no running back's going to look good, and Caleb certainly needs help if he's going to try and recover from a poor opening season. So that's where I'm at. They got to focus on that offensive line, get some picks, make some trades, do whatever they got to do.
man? That offensive line, man. Like, oh my God, Williams was getting sacked. I just looked up. He only 23 years old. I thought he was like 25, 26. Because they said he was old when he got drafted. But do you see like this off season? How many picks y'all got? If you know.
I'm not even sure offhand. What is the Bears picks?
Well, who do you believe while you look at them? Who do y'all believe? What position do you think y'all need to pick up the most?
No, it's the defensive tackles. I mean guards as well, but that's it. I mean for me there's no other um, discussion around it. Because it looks like they got a first round and two second round picks, and then they go into the third. So that's what they got to be looking at is the line because I'd like it if they can somehow trade into some good linemen as well because getting some guys with some years under them would also help. But I mean just the bottom line, Jalen, excuse me, Caleb, he faced about I think it was 24% pressure percentage. It's one of the highest in the league of nearly 1 in 4 plays, he had quarterback. He was getting hit, he was getting rushed, he was getting knocked down, he was getting blitzed. That's a lot of work for a rookie quarterback to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So and he was only at about a 2.4 second pocket time. So he wasn't sitting back there eating up the clock, letting defenses get to him. He just wasn't getting protected.
That'll work for Mike Vick or Lamar Jackson because y'all running that option West Coast offense, but the Bears more like a shoe, like a Zen shoe. It's like a pro style because they can't really pass because even though they know what Caleb can do, he's still young. So they still like a pro style, but when they do the like 4 spreads, Caleb, I mean, he can run, but he's not really a scrambler. Like y'all don't have that type quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. He's athletic. He's mobile, but he's not an RPO, kind of planned run guy like a Hurts or I mean, geez, Lamar. So he's not going to bring that to the table, and that's fine. I mean, I that works in some places. It doesn't have to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But bottom line is, he needs time to be able to let the play develop and throw. Like I said, his inexperience. He overestimated himself. I think a lot of people overestimated him. I don't, like I said, I don't believe in the rookie quarterback all that much anyways. So when I saw how poorly the offensive line was, it was just, we were pretty much done at it.
Did y'all? I think if I'm right, y'all got a new head coach, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Where did he come in from? Ben Johnson, I think it is.
What's your thoughts on him?
Well, I'm interested to see, where it goes. They haven't had a good coach in years. To be honest with you, I don't think they've ever had a good coach, like a good franchise coach, even back in the day, like guys like Didka.
Mm-hmm.
Just never really had that decade long franchise coach that is like legendary. So the last few coaches have not been all that special. Um, so we
You
have
know
to,
the
have to see what
problem.
happens.
You know the problem is it was that Jay Cutler era.
Hmm.
Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall, and Matt Forte era. Y'all
Yeah,
had the team. Urlacher, even though he done said some suspects, though. Y'all had was it Briggs? Y'all
yeah,
had
Sean Briggs.
what was that corner y'all had? Number two. What's that? Y'all had the corner, dude. You know what I'm talking about from back in
Yeah,
the day.
yeah. I'm trying to remember back now.
Yeah, y'all basically had the team.
Yeah.
Jacob, man, he caused y'all some reason.
I mean, for what it's worth, he was the best, quarterback. I think, other than Sid Luckman from the '40s, he was the best quarterback the Bears have had. Period. I mean, they've
I mean,
never had a
Kyle
great
Orton was
quarterback.
doing better than him.
Say again?
Kyle Orton.
I mean, Orton was fine, but Cutler was able to kind of put together multiple seasons of good performance, um, but it was Grossman that took him to the Super Bowl, but he wasn't anything special.
That was we all know that was the defense and Devin Hester because that
Yeah.
offense was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were like, I don't even know, probably, you know what, let me check. What was their offensive rating back then?
And you know what the sad part is? Like you see how the NBA losing viewership. I think that's what's about to happen with the NFL because back in the day, you got the most sorriest offense, but
Mm,
the defensive games made it exciting. Like we don't want to see 40, 50 plus. We want to see them 17, 20s,
yeah.
9, 10s, them 15, 17. Like them low scoring defense games is what everybody was watching. It was rare. Even with Peyton Manning and Brady and all them, and Brett Favre, we know he the pick Kane. That don't be throwing something anyway.
Well, no,
Even
I'm with you
like
on that because think about it. When Peyton Manning and Brady and those guys were having big games and big seasons, that was special. And then now you've got, your kind of average quarterbacks scoring, 24, 27, 30 a game. And so everyone's kind of overvaluing quarterbacks. They're overestimating them. The rules are playing too favorably into the passing game. We know that the league has gone passing in terms of mentality and, putting together offensive schemes, and they're overvaluing the quarterbacks. And so everyone thinks they've got a top five quarterback. Well, I mean, you could check my math, but I think only 5 teams have a top five quarterback. Not everybody. And but they're all acting like they got a quarterback. They're trying to shape their passing game, and that's why I actually really appreciate Philly. They said, "Hey, we're all in on our running game." And they put like last season, the rushing title was like 1,400 yards. This season, they got a guy getting 2,000 yards. That's a big deal to me. That he was averaging like 25 carries a game, just going to work. You also had Derrick Henry, cracking open that passing game in Baltimore,
mm-hmm.
and so it was a good season for running back. So hopefully, they start mixing them in. It's not going to go back to like the days of the '80s and '90s when it was all running backs, but it definitely could be more than it's been the last 5 years or so. And I think that complementary football is needed to balance out and make things happen.
Like it's just like you got the most basic, like you just said, basic quarterback averaging 30. Like I remember them games back then. If you got the 30 points, y'all both the teams was y'all. It was like some lucky plays, some pick six,
Right.
special teams. It wasn't just no offense just playing no 30. Like it was the whole team. Like it was more of a team ball.
Yeah.
Over time, I get players, they start not realizing their value. I respect that. You want your money. But when the game, I call it the Brady era. When Brady started getting older, all of a sudden, you couldn't touch the quarterback. Then
Yeah.
they made offense. They was calling, what's that penalty? We both had brain farts tonight. What's that pass interference? Man, they were calling pass interference like every 5 seconds. Now, back then, they would call it, but it wasn't like, if you got pass interference back then, it was just so blatant. Like, you had to be off. Like, now, you could just push it, though, they be passing. Like, come on now. Like,
Yeah.
you see how all the NBA fans want Adam Silver go.
Oh,
Roger Goodell
jeez.
about to be next. He keep on playing. He gonna be right with Adam Silver, man. Cause don't nobody want to see them 40, 50, these quarterbacks passing for. You got 10 quarterbacks passing for 5,000 yards a season. Like that's like some Madden type numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and it does a couple of things. So, you're not able to see good defense because being a quarterback is one of the hardest jobs now because they can't check the guy like they used to. They can't kind of keep some hand contact. I mean, even Brady was kind of complaining during the Super Bowl about these ticky tack calls. So I'm like, you're hurting the cornerbacks. You're protecting the QB so that the pass rush has got to pull up. They can't even go full in because they're afraid, like, oh, if I just make contact a little late, or I'm trying to swim through my defender, and if I get pushed over and I land on him wrong, I'm going to get a flag. So now you've got defenders who got to check themselves. That's no way to play football. I mean, I understand safety and everything, and I don't have a problem with that mindset, but I think their unintended consequences are going too far, and you're kind of damaging the integrity of the performance. And so then the other thing is, now that you got quarterbacks getting 4,000 yards easy, the perception is like, well, this is the expectation now. And anybody who doesn't do 4,000, 4,500, 5,000 yards is a scrub, you know. And quarterbacks from back in the day, they're no good. They're bums because they don't have the numbers that modern guys do. Like, you got to pay attention to what's going on with rules and enforcement discretion.
Exactly.
And like you said, it's the same thing going on in the NBA. If they, ticky tack, they can't make certain kind of contact, then it just, things run away. You don't see defensive application, and it's just easy scoring, or not. I don't want to say easy. It's still a tough game, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's offensive side of the ball in both basketball and football is getting inflated.
You got players scoring. You got teams playing them 90 at halftime in the NBA. Like, what? If you back in the day, you would get that like mid third quarter, the start of the fourth.
Yeah,
It was rare teams. Okay, I see when the 2010s hit, like early 2010s, it was still rare for teams to get to 100 plus. These dudes be like at 90 at halftime. Like, who is watching that? And then it's like, I don't know if the players boycott. I feel like they doing the boycott without actually saying it. Like, I feel like they it's a lot of systematic racism going on. Okay, I understand. So I don't know if the players got together like they want more money or Adam Silver gone. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just saying, like, it's like you could, like, I watched the game. Those don't even play defense no more. They just be standing like, and they just be like, it's like you can tell they doing the boycott without actually publicly doing it. Do you get that out the NBA?
Say that?
Do you get that out the NBA?
Do I get that feeling?
Yeah, like the players boycott without actually like publicly doing it.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a general culture, and I don't know if they're sitting there in clubs having discussions about a boycott, but I can see the mindset, and they're all picking up on it, and they all follow, and because look, how much is some of these guys who are sitting on the bench getting paid? Why should I work harder? Why should I do more? Why should I, if you're just going to pay me anyways? If you're Ben Simmons or Kawhi, and that you're going to get picked up on a good contract, putting in 40 to 60 games, why should you go all in? Why should you work hard? So, I mean, the culture of the game has gotten off, and it's happening in football too. I don't know if it's entitlement. I don't know if it's, they expect things to come to them. I'm in the big game. I'm special. But basketball is particularly bad. And I'm hoping, the next generation of players is going to come in, and you're going to have a different attitude, because they're going to see, hopefully, they're fans today, and they're thinking the same way we are. They're criticizing the same way we are. And so if they come through college and start playing, maybe they're going to have a different attitude about the game, in 5 years.
Instead, I think they need to get rid of the one and done. I think you need to start letting those come back out of high school again. No. Of course, they're going to have to be a certain, like type LeBron and Dwight Howard and, Bynum. I know it's plenty more. Kobe, they got to be a certain status. Yeah. But that one and done stuff, I feel like when they came with the one and done wrestling, the NBA started going downhill. Because it's like, if you look at the game, I know this ain't one of the topics, but if you look at
that's all right.
If you look at the game now, they so dependent on the old heads. Like they is so dependent on the old heads. Like when the 2003 draft hit, you could tell it was a shift of the new wave. Like the NBA's okay. Shaq and Kobe and them getting old. All them 90s those getting old. We still got T-Mac, Kobe, Vince Carter, Yao Ming, and all them, whatever. Let's start pushing all these super young. That's why the 04, 05, 06, you see how they was pushing the young dudes out coming in like Chris Paul and them? That's because the problem with now is they so dependent on the old heads. Like they don't want to put. It's like the young dudes. It's like they don't get them no media attention. They don't
Right.
get no shine. Like you like the problem with even if this is like wrestling, you gotta push the young dudes to
Yeah, I mean,
keep.
look at the guys. Look at the guys in the MVP conversation. It's not the guy. It's not KD. It's not LeBron. It's not Steph. Those guys are not in the MVP conversation, right? It's Giannis. It's Jokic. It's SGA. Edwards is, he gets a lot of hype. Anthony. So I mean, those are the guys that really should be the main topics. They just
Yeah,
should be. And I know the established names are still playing and still doing things. So you can't ignore them, but I think it's an intentional effort to put too much focus on them, and it's a distraction. It's a distraction from where the best part of the game is, and that's the current superstars, the current top 3, 4, 5 players. I mean, and then you get someone like Anthony Edwards. I'm sorry. Yeah, Edwards. Yeah, with
you think
Minnesota.
about SGA?
No, I'm thinking about Edwards. Yeah. So, the thing is, so he came out last season, before this one, everyone was kind of into him. He
Yeah,
looked like he was explosive and he was going to be a throwback player. But then even this year, kind of some of his comments, he started kind of falling into this sort of, it sounded like an entitled, kind of attitude. And he was whining about being double teamed. And it's like, where's this coming from, man? This kind of attitude, I'm a fan watching. I want you to like rev up your motor and take on the double team. That's what excited
exactly.
me watching players. So I said, even Edwards, who kind of people were excited about for a moment, looked like he took a step back on that kind of attitude. You get what's his name in Phoenix? Um,
Devin Booker.
Say that again.
Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin. You got him saying stuff like, "Oh, if I could change anything, I'd take away back to backs." Like that's your first choice. If you can change anything in the league, you want to take away back to backs. You wouldn't improve anything else. You wouldn't, do something with the rules. You'd make it kind of, softer for you on your travel days. I was like, that's just, I don't understand. I don't understand the mentality.
It's like it's a lot of opportunities to make money. I know the mentality. Y'all realize how they was playing the old heads. Old heads probably was talking, Reggie and all them, Pastor Ewing back in the day, whatever. So y'all was like, okay, we gonna be balling the first 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Then once we get off the rookie contract, we get the max, or some of y'all just get, the minimal. Okay,
Hmm.
now we go chill. Like you can just tell, like when dudes come off notice these last 3 draft classes. Notice I can't, other than Bronny, you don't know nobody who got drafted the last 3. Other than Women Yama don't count because
Well,
we
yeah. I mean,
talking about players. We talking about American players.
and plus he was like a generational player. I mean, he's kind of unicorn. So I mean, he was, of course, we know about him. He was super media hype. But yeah, if you think about just the general, the top 10 draft picks, who else do you think of? Who else is a standout player? And so to your point, you come out, you try to earn that that extension. And once you do that, you've quote unquote you've arrived. I'm sitting there trying to figure out, why are teams trading for and spending such high amounts of money on like PG? I'm like, what has he done in the last few years that warrant any kind of big payout? I'm like, come on, man. So it's just really, so it's not just the players, it's the GMs, it's the teams, it's this like mentality that they got to get, certain players attaching themselves to I guess that old head thing you were talking about. These are the the marquee names. We got to have them. I'm
Like
like,
I don't even like David Stern. We know he was crooked. We not even about to get all that. At least David Stern knew I gotta market these young dudes more than the established dudes. So that's back. If you look, that's what he was. I got like when Derrick Rose and all them came, and Klay Thompson, Curry, and all them came later on. James Harden. No, he was marketing OKC. Why? Because they got young KD, Russ, all them. That was a young team.
Yeah.
Then you had Derrick Rose. Then you had Kevin Love. Even though Minnesota was hot garbage, they was young dudes coming up. Klay Thompson. Yeah, you still have LeBron and Kobe, Chris, but he know you got to market. Adam Silver, I feel like he way too dependent on these old heads. Like, dude, it's like if LeBron retired, you gonna pass out.
Well, maybe he'll leave the league too, and then we'll get a fresh take.
Like the dude who got drafted #1. You don't what he played for Atlanta. Notice you don't hear nothing about the #1 overall pick from Atlanta. No, nothing. He don't.
Well,
you don't see nothing.
On top of that, you're only hearing about certain teams, anyways. Regardless, so you don't hear much about Atlanta. They're not the marquee team with any of those flashy old heads, like you said. So no one's even talking about them in the media. All the attention's on Golden State and LA and big trades with the Mavericks, because it went to LA. I mean, that's where all the attention is. Phoenix was automatically last year. They're going to be, champions because KD's there. So it's just all the mindset. Everything is around those established names. Of course they're talented and still got game in them. But that's that one superstar. That doesn't decide it. It's got to be a full roster executing.
Like, as you can see, oh my bad. Go ahead.
I was saying that's why the Thunder looks so damn good right now, because you got SGA, but you also have a complete roster that is executing together.
Like the Cavs, you see, I'm Cleveland out. The Cavs got the #1 record.
Yeah.
When Boston had the #1 record, man, I ain't gonna say it for you, man. They was all over Boston. Like, they was drooling over Boston. The Cavs got the #1 record. You don't hear nothing about Cleveland. The only time you hear about Cleveland is when you be, they got the #1 record. Bam. But you're not over here with LeBron and Kyrie, and that's the problem. Like, the Cavs got a young team. You need to be marketing that.
I agree with you.
You need to be building up. This is what David Stern was good at, even though he was crooked. You need to be building up the Cavs versus Boston, or Cavs versus Giannis. Like, you need in the West Coast, you need to be with the Minnesota. I don't know why Minnesota and they need anyway. Minnesota versus Devin Booker or Jokic, or you get what I'm saying? Like, y'all just need to market the young team. Like, even if they trash, like Utah, you can still be like, Utah up and coming team. Let's put them against LeBron. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, they don't it's like they too dependent on certain people to carry the team, carry the league. It's like, that's why I view it like we tired of them.
No, I'm with you. I mean, and going back to the Cavs, you don't have a guy who's averaging 30, right? So they don't seem to give the team attention. I think Mitchell's probably averaging around 25, maybe a little less. But the team has got like 6 or 7 guys in double digits. That's winning basketball. You can rotate your guys in. You've got the standout guys who are still performing. They got some good rebounders. So, but no one's talking about that. They want to talk about the big name.
Like, right now, we gonna get back to
Okay, all right.
Like, you got Chris Paul on the Spurs. No, they don't even talk about Wembanyama no more. You know how they talk about CP3 did it. CP3 is 40. He up there with LeBron. Why is all this? If this was back in the day, you was not gonna see no 40-year-old man coming to a team where basically dude could be the face of the league, top 3-5 dude face of the league, and all they gonna talk about 40-year-old. They just not like, no.
Yeah. All the trade hype about him too. He went to Golden State. Ooh, this is interesting. Now he's at the Spurs. Ooh, this is interesting. It's like he's going to change the dynamic. He's going to be that winning piece. I'm like, come on, man.
He is 42, 1. Like, women, y'all are like 22. That's who you think? Who you think I'll be gassing no more? If I was Al Silver, I'd be like, man, look, anybody over 38 in the league right now, they got retired. Like all like straight reset. All y'all gotta go. LeBron included.
Give them
LeBron,
a max age and you're out.
exactly. If you hit 40, you're done. Like, dude, you've been playing since you was like LeBron. Dude, you've been playing since you was 17, 18. You is 40. Like, how much money? Like, how much attention do you need?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, but
Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Who was on that for a minute?
yeah, we got off script, huh?
Caleb Williams. What's the future of him with the Chicago Bears?
Which guy?
Caleb Williams.
Oh, Caleb. Well, like I said, a little earlier, I think he's solid. He's obviously talented. I mean, he came out of college with all the credentials. He just, like I said, no offensive line, putting too much trust in a rookie QB. It's just a different game when they go from college to pros. There's so few rookies do well. Even ones that do have good rookie seasons like Stroud, he had to step back this season. So, I didn't expect much from Caleb. I think that they got to get that offensive line sorted out, get a scheme that'll work. The new new head coach, Ben Johnson, we got to let him develop, see what he does, what kind of offensive scheme. They should be equipped to do a good passing attack, but they got to get that line figured out. So, Caleb's gonna. It'd be pretty bad if he had a worse season. So hopefully he's going to improve from here. But he's not going anywhere if the team doesn't get itself right.
Okay, one problem is I feel like in college he was too whiny. Like, dude, like he was crying and he wasn't crying for joy. He be crying like because they lost the game or Carl didn't get, man, like, dude, why is you crying real tears? Like, it ain't like y'all winning. It ain't like you crying because y'all just won a championship. No, you crying because y'all, like, by the time, like, the game he was crying at, they wasn't going to the playoff game anyway. Dude,
Yeah.
why is you crying? It's the last game of the season and he crying. Like,
Right.
and he ain't crying because he about to leave. No, you crying because y'all lost the game. Like, you ain't about to get drafted number 1.
Well, you know what? He didn't do a lot of crying this season, but you saw him on the sideline just kind of like shaking his head, overwhelmed. I think he got like a good lesson this last season. A good eye opener. Like, you're not going to come in and just be a superstar, buddy. You gotta work through some things. So I think it's going to have an impact on him. I think he's going to kind of learn from this and recalibrate. But I don't expect anything big from him. But hopefully, just a step up and some
It's like
improvements.
it's a difference between passion and emotion. No, you be emotional. You don't be passionate. You be emotional. Like, dude, like Justin Fields. Justin Fields is more like I know the team not good. I know I'm gonna take all the media hate because that's basically what they're doing. They were all on Justin Fields, acting like he a bum and he can't do this. But he wasn't doing all that crying. Caleb be on some stuff like he be in the media things. He just like what? You do know you the quarterback, the number 1 overall pick. Like come on now, dude. Like, I don't know if the media getting to you or the fangirls getting to you. Like, I need you to be like, yeah, I know I'm a rookie. I got drafted number 1 for a reason. Obviously, the team not good, but he ain't gonna say it like that flat out. Just be like, we gonna come back next season. No, you
Yeah, no, real for real.
like,
Get your head out of your ass, settle down, act like a professional.
like,
But
bro, you need to calm down. Like, dog, you acting like you about to like you got drafted number 1 quarterback. You know that team was sorry. Like, come on, dog.
right.
Don't act like you got drafted to the Chiefs or the 49ers or something, then you know the Chicago was sorry.
But and like I said earlier too, that's why he didn't do himself any favors by talking such stupid stuff. Like again, telling the punter that hey, you're not going to get much playing time this year. It's like, come on, man, talking big like that and letting it get public. It's just you're just asking for criticism. You're just asking for media hype, and and if you don't do well, look what happens. Now you got people pointing their finger at you and
I don't know.
creating narratives.
I don't know who his PR team or his media team. I tell you, I would have called him like, bro. As soon as they be like, you said that, no. I don't know. I don't know where y'all getting that. I don't know who. See, sometimes you gotta start looking at those media teams. Like, bro, who is your media team? Like, they let you quote that. I want to be like, no. So they be like, so you tell the opponent that? No, I don't know where y'all getting. I ain't telling him. No, I'm just go ahead and tell the opponent. Go, don't say nothing. They professionals. They know how this goes. Oh man, like he really was on camera. Like, yeah, I said that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no.
watch this.
Yeah, not good.
Like, who is those media teams? Like, do the media teams be the kiss It's like, them be y'all fans, them be y'all stands or something. Like, back in the day, they had real media teams. Like, they'll be on there. Like, why are you saying that? You know what I'm saying? These media teams nowadays, they need to tell them, like, dude, you can't be, you got drafted one of the worst teams in the league. You can't be first year telling the punter, yeah, bro, you not gonna be punting like that. Like,
Yeah.
and you on camera saying this too. Like, stop.
I know. It's just somebody's got to be controlling the message. People got to be thinking before they talk.
Yeah, let's go ahead move on. Let's go ahead. We're getting back on. Now, before we get back on basketball, go ahead and promote your First, let me ask you before you promote your videos. Who is your 5-10 greatest running backs of all time? You ain't got to go in order. Just 5 to 10.
Yeah. So and just to kind of clarify, when I say like greatest, when I think of greatest, it's not necessarily best. It's hard to kind of argue who's got the most talent and who's the best at certain kinds of aspects of the running game. I mean, we got eye tests, there's highlight reels and stuff, and everyone's got their opinion. But when I think about greatest, to me, this is a way we can measure greatness. We can look at their accomplishments. We can look at their statistical achievements. We can look at how long they did it at what level, and we can kind of measure then who's great. And yeah, we'll talk about the videos and I get into that. But just to kind of right off the bat, so my top 10 greatest running backs of all time. If I go, I went all the way back to 1950 myself. Thinking about who are the great running backs from that era on.
Mm-hmm.
So I got like Lenny Moore. He played in the 50s and 60s with the Colts. Great all-purpose back. Kind of set the standard for receiving backs back then. Actually had more yards per reception than guys like Jerry Rice and Moss, Calvin Johnson, you name it. So I got him at 10. Then I've got Eric Dickerson. A lot of people might have him higher, but his peak didn't last as long as some of the running backs that I got over him. So great peak. One of the best starting 4 seasons in the history of the league. But some problems with management, some trades, and some other things kind of affected his overall performance. Then I got AP, Adrian Peterson.
Mm.
He played forever, but unfortunately the injuries kind of did diminish his peak. If he could have got a couple more seasons, who knows how high he would have been rated if he was healthy the whole time. Then I got Marcus Allen. He was another guy who had problems with management. He was benched for 3 years. The guy was an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP, and he was put on the bench. So it's like just problems with management for that guy.
How's
But
that?
he was excellent. Then I got Marshall Falk,
Mm.
all-purpose back to the core, right? I mean, just 36% of his total yards came in the air. He was a part of that greatest show on turf. Just one of the greatest fits of running back on team and scheme of all time. Then I got, so how many was that? I think I'm down to number 5. I got Emmitt Smith.
Run out the bounds king.
Maybe that was more in the late part of his career. He didn't have to do that early on. He had such a great offensive line. But that's when I talk about greatest. I'm not necessarily judging his skill and his ability relative to the other guys, but what did these running backs achieve? And we could talk about some of the details. And I'll go into how I rate him, but he obviously achieved quite a bit. 4 rushing titles, an MVP, Super Bowl MVP, plenty of Pro Bowls and All Pro accolades. So he from a greatness standpoint, he's up there. And then after him, I got LT. All the most productive season all time with 31 touchdowns, 33 if you include his passing touchdowns he had that season. Just excellent running back. Then I got Barry Sanders at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to talk much about Barry Sanders. We know what he did. And then I got Jim Brown at number 2. And then my number 1, I got Walter Payton.
Let me ask you real quick. Why you got Jim Brown? Even though I'm a Browns fan, why you got Jim Brown and Walter over Barry?
So when I look at two things
Okay.
that make the difference. So like I said, it's greatness versus being best. So I think arguably Barry Sanders is the greatest pure rusher of all time. We know his elusiveness, his speed, his vision was incredible, right? But he didn't do a lot in the passing game, because when I talk about greatest running back, I'm not talking about greatest rusher. I'm talking about the running back and the role they play and everything all the value they deliver. So he didn't do a lot. He didn't do a lot in the passing game. I can't blame him for that. Obviously, it's play calling, but it's just a fact. If you look at, if you're looking at measuring greatness, measuring outputs, measuring what they delivered, he just didn't do a lot in the passing game. He also came out a lot on short yardage situations. He was known for that shifty approach, trying to break plays wide open. It was a little bit of a liability in short yardage situations. So he often came out on 3rd and short. He came out at the goal line, because he did have basically, for a stretch of his career, 1 in 4 plays. So 25% of his plays went for 0 or negative yards. So while he had tons of yards going positive, it's just with that ratio of 1 in 4 plays, it's risky. And so if you're looking to get something at the goal line, he was getting swapped out. Guys like Rathman were coming in, getting that 1-yard dive. So those are kind of things that and this isn't just purely my opinion, the way I rated it, I quantified it. And so this kind of worked against him. Whereas, Walter Payton had the greatest versatility of all time. I mean, he had, himself 9 touchdown passes throughout his career. One of them was in a postseason. It was part of the game-winning points. That's the most passing touchdowns by a non-quarterback since the merger. He had about 21% of his total yards by receiving. He was the Bears' top receiver for five seasons. Scratch that, 6 seasons. So he was their number 1 target in 6 seasons. He was the number 2 for another 5 seasons. So that's 11 seasons as the top 2 receiver in terms of receptions on his team. That's more than Jerry Rice or Michael Irvin were for their teams. So I mean, he wasn't getting the play volume that those guys, or the yardage that those guys were getting, because he was a back coming out of the backfield. But the point is, he didn't have a receiver getting big yards. He had to be that receiving back. So so he had the passing touchdowns. He had all the receptions. He was a crack blocking back. He was well known for his for his rush blocking, and as well as pass blocking. So, and then not to mention his achievements as a rusher. I mean, he was just an excellent running back. We can go into who had a tougher team to play with. I've got Walter on the worst offensive strength of all time for during his peak, and then Jim Brown, likewise. I think he was more versatile. I think he was all purpose back. He was going to get you the short yardage. He was going to get you the long yardage. They used him Going around the end, they used him off tackle. They used him up the middle. They used him on the goal line. You know, he had probably about 26% of his total yards coming from receiving. So, you know, 8 rushing titles and 3 MVPs, and so I got those guys as the top 2, and then Barry, and it you can kind of blame his coach for him not being able to get a few things added to his career, like receiving and short yardage touchdowns. They just didn't scheme around him. They had a passing game and they had a Barry Sanders rushing game, and they didn't have a really well-shaped complementary football like Dallas did. Dallas had, we're going to use Emmett to draw in the defense. We're going to help. He's going to fuel the passing game. Likewise, the passing game is going to stretch defenses, and we're going to feed Emmett the ball, and he's going to get yardage. They didn't have a really well-balanced complementary football scheme in Detroit. And so I think the coaching actually is what hurt Barry's standing, at least with the way I rated him.
Yeah, they was too dependent on Barry.
Yeah.
They had receivers. Then they had when they had Moore.
Yeah, so they had Herman Moore. You know, he was 3-time All-Pro and 4 Pro Bowls, and 2 seasons he actually led the league in receptions. So he was a solid piece. And then you had like Johnny Morton and I can't think of the other guy. So they had a couple of 1,000-yard receivers besides Herman Moore. So it was a decent passing game. They didn't have a very good quarterback. But they just didn't integrate it with the rushing game and using Barrymore. And he didn't block for a damn. I mean, you can watch the videos, and he didn't do much in blocking service. But so, you know, that's where I looked at it when I got to the top guys. I was judging them as a running back, not just as a rusher, and you know, trying to quantify those outputs.
Yeah, Barry. Man, that Detroit teams in the '90s, man.
Yeah, they were.
He should have just went to another time. We ain't gonna talk about it too long. Go ahead. Where can they find all your videos on these running backs?
So if you go on YouTube, and it's called the GOAT running back video series, or greatest running back of all time video series. It's at @says_me. So I got 5 videos out. You know, it was just my first foray into YouTube content creation. It was kind of putting together these videos. It took me a better part of a year to get them all produced because I'm not the most experienced at those things. So I got it out there, and it was all released at once. And you know, that it's got a full breakdown on the top 40 running backs, or I should say 40 of the greatest running backs of all time. So I pulled 40 running backs in. I have 5 categories to assess them. So it's a 5-part series, covers each category throughout each video. You know, I went with 40 because you got where one running back might do really well in one category and fall off in the others. You want to see how his performance in that one category will kind of offset the other top guys, you know. So I thought it was good to get as many backs into the comparative analysis as possible. And there's just been so many great running backs over the decades. So I pulled in as many names as I thought were legit. You know, I welcome people to check out the videos, tell me if I'm missing someone. Did my categories that I overvalue something or not value something else good enough? You know, so check them out. Check out those videos on YouTube. Again, @says_me. Greatest running back of all time video series.
Yeah, I go ahead and check out his YouTube page. But yeah, we're gonna start with these last 2 topics. What's your thoughts on Chicago Bulls this season, and what you think they need to do for the offseason? Because it's always they're not making the playoffs. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go though. I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, yeah, I mean it's kind of weird. It's like they're somewhere between tanking and I don't know, just trying to do the best they can. I mean, they're not fully just committing to tank to get the drafts. It's like they're still trying to play some ball. I mean, they made this last trade, letting Levine go. So, look, they need to be in position to do a rebuild. So I think they should also get rid of Vucevic. Um, just burn it down and do a rebuild. Give yourself a 5-year plan. uh, See where you can get, because I mean they just can't make it happen. They don't play defense. Their ball movement. They actually have quite a few assists, but they're not moving to the ball. It's just shooting it around the perimeter, and then guys are getting assists because they just are the ones that pass to the guy that took the shot. But we're not seeing dynamic offense. We're not seeing that kind of ball movement. Um, it's just a poor offensive scheme. Nobody in the league really plays defense very much, so um, they're not doing very good at it. So yeah, I just think they got to do a rebuild. They got to break it down, get as many picks as they can, and go from there.
Well, y'all got Lonzo Ball. Didn't play for like 3 years. Like I forgot that he was even in the league. I'm like, I was watching something. They was like, Lonzo Ball, been injured for like 2. I'm like, Lonzo Ball. Like, I forgot he was even on Chicago. Like I thought he was
Yeah.
still with New Orleans. I forgot.
I know he don't even get that much playing time. I think he's probably about 20 minutes a game, and so he's just. I mean, he's talented, but
You say
there
he
isn't
got
much.
injured after he got that contract. He was injured for 2 years. Yeah, okay, though. That's what we be talking about. You was not that injured. The way you was partying and on video, you weren't that injured.
Yeah. Well, that's why as I said, the culture is like, hey, I'm getting paid. I got the big contract. I'm good.
Now that
So,
contract about to be up, he playing now.
well, I mean, if
Okay.
I'm in my office right now. If they said, hey, Rich, we're gonna pay you every week, you just kind of chill out. I'm gonna guess what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna chill out.
Then you got Vucevic. Come on now. How old is he? Look, 30, 40. We know he though your prime over. Then y'all got this Matas. I'm not even about to say he only averaging like 6 points a game. I don't even know who that is. Number 13. I don't know. He supposed to be the fake Joakim Noah. He power forward, I guess. Josh Giddey can't shoot a three if the game was on the line. Like he can't shoot.
and Giddy's got some upside to him, but he's kind of new into it, and he doesn't have a very good team around him. So I mean, nobody's really going to perform all that great.
And he only 22 too. I thought he
Uh,
only 22 years old.
that's what I'm saying. He's got some upside. He's got some potential, but there's just not much that the Bulls have to help him do anything special. So I mean, he's kind of average right now. He's you know just in the double digits on points, decent
Okay,
assists.
you got Kobe White scoring 19 the game, but
Yeah.
no, you ain't
So
doing that because go ahead, go ahead.
I was say, with Levine out, I got to imagine that there's going to be someone kind of stepping up and benefiting from the, being getting more of the usage, but it's just not, So Kobe might, we might see him sort of pick up another few points per game and a little more usage. But and Giddy, I think, is going to get more time. So if we're going to do a rebuild, those are maybe some guys that because they're young and you can build around them. Like I said, Vucevic he's an older guy. He's in his mid-30s. He's probably got some trade value. Make a move. I'm not
Mm.
sure. I'm not sure when his free agency comes up, but they moved on. Zach Levine. So okay, let's keep doing it. Let's keep moving guys. Let's move pieces. We gotta do a rebuild.
Problem with this team is like ain't no scoring. Like it's just like outside Vucevic and Kobe White, like everybody just like it's like they just coasting. Like like ain't
And I
no.
and that's why I'm like it's kind of weird. I don't. I mean, maybe they're tanking, but maybe they're trying to play. I don't really know. Because they've got like 4 or 5 guys that are scoring in double digits. Like they're putting some effort in there, but and like I said, I think they're pretty high in the league in assists. So So it's like I'm just unclear what their strategy is right now.
That's what I think the NBA is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That Lakers team with D'Angelo Russell and Brandon Ingram and Kuzma and Lonzo and who else? Whoever that was the main four. No,
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle. That was the main five. My bad. Then you see how they all went to different teams, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like they were supposed to be the new faces of the league. That's how the NBA was hoping, but all them dudes is flops. Like, yeah, Brandon Ingram, he not markable. Like, he just that laid back, chill dude. Like, Kyle Kuzma, I don't know, he got this Dennis Rodman diva thing going on. Like, dude, you be coloring your hair like you Dennis, but you don't play like Dennis. Like, then you got Lonzo. He think he want to be a rapper more than an athlete. So then D'Angelo Russell, he'll drop 50 out of nowhere. Then he back to like 15, 20 points. Like he,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
he's so crazy. But then Julius Randle, he'll drop you like 40. Then he go back to like 10, 15 points. Like that whole Lakers team the year after Kobe, it was just like that team was stacked. But if you look back, a lot of them, it's like they were stacked together.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
You a young team, Kobe just retired. Okay, look, everybody want their They was all on rookie contracts. So before LeBron got there, they had. Yeah, you playing for LA, you know you gotta turn up. As
Hmm.
soon as y'all got traded to New Orleans and they traded D'Angelo to Brooklyn, it's like once y'all got your own teams, that's when everybody really got exposed. Like it was just
Well,
like
and I think a lot of these guys believe their own hype. You
they
know,
do.
they they look good, or gelling as a team. They got all this upside and potential. People are talking about them. Their agents are in their ears. The fans are talking. Social media is all about them. And then they're too high on themselves, and they're not. I don't know. They're just not executing, and they don't know what to do with it because they just believed it was all going to just happen for them. That's another thing about the league too, is because the style of play and spacing and the 3 pointers, and it's a scoring strategy, but it doesn't allow certain players to kind of stand out, to really kind of become that feature player. Like that's why guys like Ant were so popular last season, because like, oh, he's doing something different. He's attacking the rim and he's super athletic, and people are looking for that to happen. They want that Tatum gets branded as a boring player, and Jaylen Brown is branded as a boring player, but they're good. They're executing. They're getting the numbers, but people want something that stands out, and so the way the game is played right now, it's not creating that excitement and drawing people's attention to who the superstar is, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The marketing approach is to rely on some of the old names,
Mm-hmm.
um, because the style today just doesn't lend itself to like you said, Brandon Ingram. What kind of style you got? How are you playing? What can we look for? Um, Donovan Mitchell, excellent player, fundamentals, but he's not standing out in some super dynamic way. So these are this is what the league's up against right now. They're
You
not
know what the league
creating
need
that
to do?
excitement. Say again?
They need to bring back the post game. If y'all bring back the post game, I guarantee views gonna go up. That's the problem. We need big men. Like we
Yeah.
tired of the shooting guards throwing up three. We need some Shaq, some Yao Ming, some King, David Robinson. Like we need some Dennis Rodman. Draymond do not count. Like no,
Yeah, he's not a big. He's not a
at
big.
least
But
at least when
I'd like to see KG. Like even when like Dirk was a shooting big man, that was special. Now
it
it's
was
like
like
now it's standard.
he brought some he brought some black to him though on the court. It wasn't just like he, he brought so far, but like Tim Duncan, I'm taking Tim Duncan because Tim Duncan he was born off the court, but on the court, who everybody was watching? Tim Duncan, you know he about to drop 40. If you let him,
Right.
it was just like we need some big men. Like these dudes nowadays, like these big dudes, they just you strictly there for rebounds and screens. Like ain't no dunking, ain't nobody getting posterized. We need some Blake Griffins. Like who gonna be
And
that dude? Just be
there's no on-ball defense either. Because you're not allowed. First of all, you can't touch them, you can't hand check. The rip through still happens, although that rule has kind of softened up, thank goodness. But so everyone's got to kind of watch their contact, and so you don't get very good on-ball defense anymore. And I think that is, again, we were talking about that earlier. It affects the quality of the game, what people are looking for. Because let's face it, as much strategy and scoring tactics you can build around the 3-point game and the spacing, as much as you can do that and have it make sense technically, it's a spectator sport. People are watching and they want to be entertained and they want excitement. And basketball has got a rhythm that other sports don't have. That's why you watch it, right? And if that rhythm isn't there, those movements and the ball handling and attacking the hole and I remember, KG's got that classic scene where he drops down in a defensive posture and he's growling at the other player. I mean, that sort of energy really doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know. I don't want to say, just undo the 3-pointer. I mean, it's part of the game, but it's like how do we compel players to kind of get back into that sort of forward aggressive style, soften up the rules, let the defense get back in the game, and
I need some Gary Paytons at guard. All
yeah,
these
for sure.
guards nowadays, they so friendly. Man, what them Gary Paytons at? Like, what them dudes at, like, or Tony Atlas, or,
Yeah.
like, Rondo, the A-holes, like, man, what them guards, like, we not cool like that. I'm not about he's not doing none of that. Like, what them,
No.
yeah, man, like, them small forwards, like Tracy McGrady and
Mhm.
Kobe and Ron Artest, like they want to call like that. Like we don't want to be acting like we friends.
Well, and that's going back to earlier asking questions about the Bulls. I mean, they are a boring team. They are a boring team. Not only are they not winning, they're just boring. I mean, like at least Boston, they're not all that exciting, but they're winning. So it's like if you if you can't if you're boring, at least win. If you can't win, then don't be boring. Do something, man. Change it up. Get some personality. I mean, people would rather watch a team lose with an exciting approach on the court.
Like even when the Cavs was trash, the year
Mm.
after the LeBron left, people were still watching Cleveland. Like even that first year when we got Kyrie, Kyrie
Mm.
brought that him Verjao and Kyrie and Tristan Thompson. They just brought that. Even though the team was straight garbage, it's like they just like you can just tell, like everybody just had that aura to
Yeah.
them. Them dudes not the team could be like even with my Cavs, I'm not really excited about like Donovan Mitchell and this basically what I'm saying. We don't want bros to be stereotyped. Like you ain't got to be like AI the dance rhymes or dudes like Shaqs and them. Like they want stereotype. They were just being them.
Right.
Now I feel like dudes too. They too like I guess a lot of things happen in the world. They trying to be too militant. Like they trying to or they being too. What's that word people say nowadays? Zesty. Like why dudes be showing up wearing skirts and dresses, and then want to know why everybody be on the court acting feminine. Like y'all, what do y'all be wearing? Like who is y'all? I know y'all girl ain't dressing y'all like girl, my bad, girls
Yeah.
dressing
Right.
y'all. What? You ain't never seen AI and even LeBron and KG and then Carmelo. Those weren't pulling them in no skirts. They weren't pulling them in no. They were pulling up in jerseys and suits. Weren't pulling up in all like even the players done got suspect. Like why is y'all dudes wearing skirts?
Yeah, they're just they're too. I mean, it's maybe too much attention to like wow factor in the social media, get some pictures, put me on a post. Say, well, why don't you worry about how you play on the court? Why don't you wow people with that, not with some kind of weird outfit on your entry.
It's just like y'all just be making bros. It's like why y'all like SGA? SGA just had this whole fur coat on. Like, dude, that's something your girl would wear from like in the 90s. Like, chicks ain't even wearing that no more. Like, dude, what they be dressing like? What y'all be wearing? Like, Russell pulling up with skirts. Like, bro, now the way Westbrook be playing,
Mm.
you swerving down. He pulling up in Tim's with jersey, so this don't be pulling up in skirts. Like, that can't take you serious on the court. Like, you
Yeah,
Russ be all aggressive on the court. He dunking high. Then you putting on a skirt. Dude, I can't take you.
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I know you be saying, who started it? Was that Russ?
I don't know, man. I don't know how it started. It who knows? It's like the stupid um, uh, challenges on TikTok or whatever. So they see something and they just want to be a part of that, and so they start doing it. I don't know. I don't know.
It's like everybody want to be Dennis Rodman, but Dennis, when he did it, it was a case of that was just Dennis.
Right. It was authentic.
It was just Dennis. Like, he just all y'all do is y'all be on some, like, it's like y'all trying to, like, y'all, I don't know what sadistic stuff y'all got going on. Like, it's like y'all, everybody want to be Dennis. Like, everybody not Dennis though. Like, no.
No, no,
But
no.
yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get it. But it's again, it's another one of these distractions. It's not a part of how the game is played, and so what they're focusing on, what the kind of, I don't know, spectacle they're making. It's not, has nothing to do with good basketball.
like, this why we need David Stern. Y'all need no. Hey, y'all didn't know was dressing like this. David Stern came with the dress code. Hey, I was up. You need to come with the dress code because y'all got these dudes looking like, you need to tell them those suits and that's it. All those nail polish, like what? Like, I think I'm gonna make a video on this. I just thought I'm about to make a video on this. I can't see, bros. Like, if you openly G, you know why I can't say YouTube probably gonna mute my video. If you openly G, just be G. Like, if you
Hmm.
got you a dude or something, just be that. Do not be trying to portray like you got all these models and you with all the woman and you pulling up with a skirt, nail polish. Some of y'all dudes look like y'all wearing makeup. Like, what y'all on? Like, no. He's like, nothing to me.
Yeah, I don't know, brother. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, yeah. So, what's your history? What's your thoughts on the history of Chicago? That's the final topic. Like, going back to
Mhm.
like the what's his name? Who wants to do with the afro y'all had? I played with him on 2K. The center dude, Artist Gilmore and
Oh, geez, you're going way back.
the Krause. Who was the Jazz head coach? Stockton. What's his name? Krause. Was that his name?
Well, Kraus was he was the GM.
No, not Krause. What was what was the Jazz head coach for the longest?
The Jazz head coach?
Yeah, Stockton and Karl Malone. What was the head coach name? He played for y'all too.
What the hell was that?
Oh my god, man.
I mean, I can't even think of it offhand. Let's see here.
Yeah, he was their Artist Gilmore. What was his name?
Was that Sloan?
Sloan, was that his name? Yeah, Jerry Sloan. Y'all had him too.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. But let's be 100. Okay, let's go towards the Jordan era.
Yeah. Because that's when I got into basketball in the kind of early '80s. Yeah, I was born in the '70s, so I watched a lot of ball in the '80s. Actually, Dr. J was my favorite in the early part of the 80s when I first started watching. Actually, I started watching because of him. So then when Jordan showed up in 85, it was like, oh man, we got our own superstar. And then he broke his foot in 86, and we were all like, I remember it was like, okay, well, that was good while it lasted. We were all kind of done with it. We thought
in
that
that
was it.
'88 season.
Yeah. Well, then so he came back, finished out the playoffs in 86. And so it was like, okay. I mean, the city went nuts, and it was just a love affair for the next decade. Now he played kind of like that, what we see from, LeBron, maybe the last 10 years, and from actually probably his whole career, and what we see from Luca. So that early part of Jordan's career it was that kind of heliocentric, ball dominant approach. And it was once a couple of more polished teammates that he could work with and develop started coming in, like Horace Grant and Pippen, and once that was when, and then of course the coach Phil Jackson said, "Well, I got the right tools. Let me reinstitute, a triangle offense here, that kind of ball movement that enabled them to get Jordan into scoring positions." And so that was
Mm.
just going in like 89, 90 was like kind of fleshing out. It was coming together. And then, of course, through the 90s, that's all, that story. So that was, if you were in Chicago at that time, it was amazing, and, you had everybody was a celebrity in Chicago, Paxson and Horace
Cartwright.
Grant and Cartwright. We all loved them, and BJ Armstrong. It was like the whole team. We just looked at them as superheroes. And then after Jordan left, came back, and it was like almost a whole new team. But it didn't matter. We were still in love with them because it was just that they were winning, and so it was a great time. It was to be a basketball fan, to be in Chicago. Um, and then they went into a rebuild in 98, or after 90, I should say 99, which just blew everybody's mind. I understand they were aging. Pippen had nagging injuries. Rodman was probably like 37 or 38 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So Kraus, the GM, he wanted to do a rebuild, but I'm just like, come on, you got a few pieces left. Just keep it going, keep it going. And I would rather have them lose in 99 and tell us, okay, yes, it is done, versus this artificial, teardown that they did after the 98 season. And then it just horrible after that. Just rotating roster, no superstars. Nobody even played on the team for more than 2 or 3 seasons for until Rose came along. So it was just a bad time after the dynasty was tore down.
The sad part is y'all had like Elton Brand, Tyson Chandler, like
And
Ron
there was
Artest.
opportunities there. Like Elson Brand was rookie of the year. We thought he was going to do something, and then it didn't really go anywhere. Like I said, they just kept turning everybody over.
Then
Tyson
Ben
Chandler was
Gordon came along.
early part of his career. Tyson Chandler was early part of his career, so he wasn't the Tyson Chandler that we know later on. So
I just feel
just
like
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go.
I feel like they was drafting right. It's just like they was just getting rid of people like way too early. Like they'll draft like Tyson Chandler and get rid of him. So, like the same season, I'm like they y'all just draft us though. Like Elton Brand, like I get why they traded Elton though. I see why they traded him, but like the rest of them dudes y'all had coming, then y'all had Ben Gordon, and then when y'all drafted Joe Keem and Tosh Gibson and Luol Deng and then D Rose and then y'all traded Joe for Carlos Boozer. Okay, you know what the problem was, and I think this one of them conspiracy theories. Notice the shooting guard position always had to be trash with Jordan played.
Say that again.
Notice like when Chicago was winning when post D Rose, I mean during D Rose.
Hmm.
Notice the shooting guards always has to be trash like Bogans and 40-year-old Rip Hamilton. No, it's the shooting guard position always had to be trash.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was by plan. It just they weren't they just weren't putting together things. That was the big thing too in that post Jordan era is Krause thought he was should have gotten more credit for the achievements that the Bulls had, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was trying to prove something, and he was going to find those key pieces, and he was going to make things happen. And I'm like, you weren't even doing just a normal job of recruiting players and building rosters. It was actually a terrible job. And it went on, like I said, it went on for years. They were just nobody was stable. Their top player rotated every year. It was like, who's the best guy? And it wasn't until Rose got there for a couple of seasons, and then but then injury took him out. We had Jimmy Butler for a couple seasons. He was solid, but that didn't last. So it's just, and then Levine. I mean, he was him and DeRozan, talented guys. Maybe we can build around them, but we really didn't, and they couldn't do it by themselves. And so they had more name value than they actually had performance quality, and so they traded DeRozan. What was it, last season? And then Levine just now. So it's like, okay, just continue the cycle of struggling to build a team. So like I said earlier, we need to do a rebuild, but I don't know. We've never done it well, so I don't know how we're going to do it.
When they get rid of D-Rose, 2016, 17.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Well, it took y'all 10 years to get D-Rose, so a year or two, y'all might get a big man this time with a small forward. I don't know. Chicago won them. It's like they on some 10-year stuff. Like it's like gonna take us 10 years to get generational talent. You hope we can, get good again. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they could have built around Rose. Like I said, he MVP season, he was solid. But he was mostly an athletic freak. He wasn't doing the things that were just going to win games. Like by himself. So they needed to build a better roster. But but we didn't get a chance. Like I said, he got injured, and so once he moved on, they struggled to build a team that had any kind of consistency.
He was on that us versus everybody mentality. That's why, man, that era was so good, man.
Yeah.
Outside LeBron in Miami, of course.
Yeah. But so yeah, like I said, I don't have much faith that they're going to be able to build anything. But the point is, they can't continue to work with what they have today. So it's get off those last few pieces, try to work with Giddy and what's his name? Uh, um, we mentioned him, Colby, or Kobe White.
Mm-hmm.
See if we can get these young guys some support. Because they're both young and they're both got, like I said, look, potential and upside. So this could really be something that could work if we can get a few pieces around them and get a fresh center. Somebody who can move the ball a little. Well, Giddy can move the ball, but somebody that can allow him to kind of use his motor. So, but yeah, over the years, it's been bad. It's been tough being a Chicago fan. The Bears, the Bulls. You had these high times back in the day. The '85 Bears, the '90s Bulls, and then But then after that, nothing.
Yeah, man. Let's go. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Go ahead and tell me where they can find you at, man.
So if you're again tell people to find me is over at YouTube. At
Mm-hmm.
says _me. Check out my videos. I'd love to get some comments and feedback, what people think about that. I'm writing over at Blitz Sports Media as a sports writer, contributor there. So that's at www.blitzsportsmedia.com. That's Blitz and Sports with Z's on them. And then you can check me out on X at says_me1. Regular posts, mostly the football discussion. That's kind of my main sport, but yeah, I'm into basketball. I like to talk about it. So love to get into the conversations.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have next time. Hope we get on. We got the camera on.
Yeah, sorry about that technical trouble there. Don't know what happened, but I can't get it going.
I'm gonna have him on in the future. We can talk about them Chicago Bulls and them Cavs. Yeah,
Well,
other
it'd be
things like
interesting. It'll be interesting if we see what happens in the off season. We can come back and see how this conversation stacks up.
exactly. Yeah, man. This been TJ McKinley Podcast, episode 29. We say we want how you want, whatever you want. I got everything except Facebook. I'm not ever getting on Facebook. Somebody asked me that. Go find my Instagram, TikTok, all my social medias, Twitter. Definitely follow me on that. YouTube, definitely subscribe. Subscribe to my man YouTube page. I'm gonna have that on the Twitter thing. But yeah, y'all go ahead and subscribe to us both. It's been TJ McKinley Podcast, episode 29, and thank y'all for watching.